What if Revan awakened and trained Palpatine? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. The chamber is dark, the only light coming from the faint glow of Coruscant's skyline outside the towering windows. Chancellor Palpatine sits alone, savoring his recent victory. Naboo is liberated, the Trade Federation disgraced, and his path to power as Supreme Chancellor is secure. However, the plan does not go off entirely without a hitch, as his apprentice, Darth Maul, is dead. Palpatine isn't too bothered with that though, as while replacing Maul will be difficult, it is not impossible, and he already has a new apprentice in mind. Everything is coming into place as the pieces for his Sith victory are now on the board. But as he considers this, a shadow in his chambers moves and approaches him.
Is this your idea of a Sith victory? Are you alone with only a half-baked plan?
Palpatine freezes. He senses the power. He turns and sees a cloaked figure standing in the middle of the room.
You dare intrude here? Do you know who I am?
Do you know who I am?
The figure steps forward, lowering his hood to reveal his helmet, where Palpatine can see his reflection. Power ebbs from his body, practically filling the room and leaving the new Chancellor stepping back as he tries to make sense of what he is feeling. There is only one figure who can match this power.
Revan.
Clever boy. I've been watching you. Your apprentice was weak, but that is more the fault of a foolish master than anything else. I've seen your plan. It is folly. You would grab onto power and control the Republic, but then what? Did you give a thought on how to rule it? How to keep your empire?
I do not need to explain anything to you. The rule of two has brought us here, and it will bring the galaxy to its knees under my rule.
The rule of two is a chain, Chancellor, and you are its prisoner. It allowed the Sith to survive, but it will never allow them to rule. Fear alone cannot destroy the Republic. It only sharpens their resolve. Apathy, however, that is the blade that will cut them to their core. But only if you understand one thing. You are not the master in this relationship.
Palpatine's patience snaps. His lightsaber ignites with a hiss of crimson, and he lunges at Revan, aiming to take his head off. Revan did not even look back, but easily sidesteps the attack. He does the same with his ensuing moves, sliding and ducking under each one. With a flick of his wrist, the Force slams Palpatine, throwing him across the room and pinning him against the wall.
You are bold, but foolish. You have potential, but you waste it on theatrics and schemes. I will instead put them to good use. You are my apprentice now, Chancellor, and you will do as I command, or I will reduce you to nothing.
Palpatine glares at him, but he says nothing, his mind racing. Revan takes this silence as a cue to keep talking. He begins to suggest an alternative plan to deal with the Republic. Instead of felling it in one blow, Revan proposes another way to destroy it, taking it out piece by piece until the people yearn for the Sith. Thankfully, the death of Maul can serve them well, as it leads them to believe that the Sith are defeated, allowing Revan to work in peace. As Palpatine takes office, he allows him to spend the first year or two in peace, but during that time he pays close attention to the discontent within the Republic. After the Naboo crisis, he instructed Palpatine to enact a series of laws aimed at regulating the trade of a planet, stripping away the free trade zones of their organization. It was an innocuous move, but one that would begin setting the ball rolling for their plan. Few people outside of the large corporations cared about this, as most hated the Trade Federation and were happy to see them punished. Though there is nothing as dramatic as the Naboo crisis, there are always problems and things in need of addressing. Among them are the Trade Federation, who continue grumbling that their privileges are being stripped away by the Republic. Then there are also the different corporate organizations that voice similar feelings. Other planets remain unhappy with the Republic. Planets like Onderon, Dissix, and Raxus Secundus all show signs of discontent. Even planets loyal to the Republic like Ryloth and Mandalore have their problems. Revan makes sure that none of them ever combine to pose a true threat to the Republic, but nor does he let this anger die out entirely. He has Palpatine secretly send these groups weapons, supplies, and funds so they can begin their insurgency. Most of these are small and isolated, wars on the periphery that the average Republic citizen would probably never experience, but they are trouble for the government, who dispatch local planetary forces and Jedi to deal with them. The Resistance finds popular support amongst most people who feel underrepresented by the Senate. They wage guerrilla wars on security forces, bogging down Jedi into long conflicts. They simply cannot wipe out these groups, nor is the Republic in a position to challenge them all militarily, as all they have are local resources to stop them. In truth, seeing these troubles exposes many young Jedi to the hardships of the galaxy, nothing like the wealth and prosperity of the inner core. But other Jedi, especially those on Coruscant, seem unaware of what to do, refusing to pass any radical reform. These moves are calculated and ensure that Palpatine can enact policies that restrict travel and transportation. All of these are built under the guise of protecting the Republic, and he vows they are temporary until the crisis resolves. However, as localized problems, they are much harder to find a clear end date, giving Palpatine more room to maneuver. The Jedi are also spread thin dealing with all these issues, making it harder to present a unified front. Palpatine wishes to use this as an opportunity to create the clone army. He sees this as an opportunity to show the superiority of their methods and save the day. But Revan disagrees, saying that it is far too grandiose and instead to begin training planetary forces to deal with them. Although less dramatic, he believes it is more effective. More importantly, Revan is opposed to the idea on principle, as it will involve essentially creating and enslaving child soldiers, a line he refuses to cross.
The galaxy will not kneel because you terrify them. It will kneel because it has forgotten how to stand.
Although Palpatine is unhappy, he concedes and begins making efforts to train new forces, and these conflicts take a more violent turn. Now able to deal with insurgent groups, the local forces launch new offensives aimed at bringing them to their knees. Some of these are successful, and others are not. While Palpatine maneuvers within the Senate and orchestrates his crisis, Revan watches the chaos unfold with cold calculation. Each conflict is like a fire, impossible to tell the difference at first, but as he looks closer, he can see the difference in the embers. Much of the existing stock in the government, the current generation of senators, bureaucrats, and Jedi alike, is soft and complacent. They are caretakers of a dying order, incapable of facing the trials needed to forge a new era. What he needs are new followers. A few individuals show unprecedented ingenuity, bravery, or intelligence in dealing with these conflicts. He begins by observing the players on the board, studying their responses to the crisis he and Palpatine have engineered. It doesn't matter if they serve the insurgents or the Republic. He finds warlords, insurgent captains, defense force officers, low-ranking bureaucrats, and Jedi who share his disillusionment and begin recruiting them to grow his power base. Revan intervenes subtly, tipping the scales in their favor when necessary. Supplies go missing from Republic stockpiles and find their way into the hands of rebels. Senators and bureaucrats find extra funding. The Jedi find their cause bolstered by additional reinforcements. While they still must fight for their position, Revan makes sure these fights give them a chance to test themselves until Revan approaches them directly, offering them training and further resources to improve their military. For some, his offer is irresistible, and others resist, clinging to their ideals or loyalty. Revan respects their convictions and tries to win them over, giving them the tools to find a place in the new government when the time comes. He takes a particular interest in the Jedi whom he begins to recruit and train in the ways of the Sith. Some are so eager to abandon the weakness of the Jedi Order that they embrace these new teachings. Instead of just keeping them as acolytes, Revan gladly shares his techniques in the dark side. This allows them to match even the most skilled Jedi. However, he warns them that he expects loyalty in return. None must ever mention his name if they are captured, and those who do will be destroyed. These dark acolytes are then deployed to further the chaos, finding opportunities to strike and prick at the Republic's weaknesses. Some even retain their positions within the Jedi Order to gather information and sabotage it from within. But others are employed as vigilantes to help solve the Republic's problems, at least those not created by Revan. Some Sith acolytes are deployed to hunt down members of the Trade Federation, exploiting the different planets or sabotaging the factories of the Techno Union, who use their weapons to oppress their clients. All of this leads the people to question why they even need the Jedi when the other Force users can handle their problems for them. Soon the acolytes become an increasingly common sight in the Outer Rim, as vigilantes, but also as community leaders who lead certain factions. Unlike the stories that the Jedi tell of the Sith being power-hungry monsters, many of them seem no different than the Jedi. In response, the Jedi Order begins hunting them down, trying to find these acolytes, but this only alienates the people from them. Why are they going after those bringing change, those getting results, while the Jedi remain bogged down in many of their conflicts? These are questions that many possess. Revan watches it all from the shadows and knows that many will fail, consumed by their ambitions or crushed by the weight of their responsibilities. But those who survive will be stronger for it. This new generation, leaders, warriors, and visionaries, will inherit the galaxy from the broken systems of the Republic and the Jedi. Palpatine listens, outwardly obedient, but seething internally. He recognizes Revan's brilliance, but despises his dominance. While Revan continues to observe his new Jedi, he is less impressed with Palpatine, who enjoys the public life as Chancellor, living a lavish lifestyle and always hosting extravagant events. At first, he insists this is for the sake of their goal, to use the extravagance and wealth to show the Republic in a bad light. Revan initially tolerates this, but it soon becomes clear that Palpatine does not do it for the sake of their goal, but for pride and greed. Revan warns that this may well turn the people against them, but Palpatine assures him he has the situation taken care of, reminding him that he is searching for new targets that they can use against him. Although unhappy, Revan cannot challenge him yet. His seeds are still growing, and Palpatine sees the opportunity. Because Revan is playing the long game, many of his appointments have not achieved high ranks yet, leaving them vulnerable. But Palpatine already has his eye on one particular champion who could serve his goals well. Revan has recruited many Jedi, but Palpatine found one long before their partnership, and watched as he grew into a powerful Jedi, Anakin Skywalker. Since the beginning of their plan, the Chancellor has made sure to keep Anakin in the shadows, away from Revan's influence, lest he lose his greatest asset. He makes sure that Anakin remains far away from the front, where most of the action is happening. Using his influence in the Jedi Order, he instead has Anakin working on humanitarian missions, where his potential is less visible. One evening, after returning to Coruscant from yet another relief mission, Anakin is summoned to Chancellor Palpatine's private chambers. Palpatine greets him with his usual warmth.
You look tired, my boy. I imagine these missions are taking their toll on you, although I'm sure people are quite appreciative of it.
It's not the missions, Chancellor. It's everything. The galaxy is falling apart, and the Jedi are too busy tearing themselves apart to see it. The Order is so focused on their dogma and their politics. With these new Jedi turning against them, it seems like they're on the verge of civil war. I don't know how much longer we can hold out.
I share your concerns, Anakin. The Jedi Order, for all its virtues, has become complacent. With these crises multiplying, they're only making matters worse. I think radical change might be necessary.
We need to act decisively to bring order back to the Republic, but they won't listen to me. I'm just a tool to them. I'm just being sent to these humanitarian missions instead of helping.
You are far more than a tool, my friend. You see the truth that so many others are blind to. That is why I've summoned you tonight. I believe it is time for a change. Time for you to step into your role, the one you were destined to play. I wish for you to go where the chaos is greatest and fix it. Do whatever is necessary.
How? The Jedi won't listen to me. And even if they did, what can I do against all of this?
I will give you the means to act. Information, resources, and in the future, an army. I believe there are individuals within the galaxy who have been working in secret, undermining everything we've worked to build. Acolytes of chaos and destruction. They must be dealt with. If you do this, Anakin, you will not only save the Republic, you will prove to the galaxy what you are capable of.
I'll do it. Tell me where to start. Over the following weeks, Anakin begins his campaign against Revan's acolytes, targeting the individuals who have risen to power amidst the chaos. Instead of becoming a Jedi or a general, Anakin becomes a vigilante like them. He searches across the galaxy, studying their activity with the information provided by Palpatine and determining where they will strike. The Chancellor helps by providing him with a list of possible targets. Anakin proves to be the best choice for this mission. While the acolytes are trained to counter the Jedi, he is nothing like they've ever encountered. He does not have the same weaknesses as the Jedi, like being bound by the Jedi Code. He is closer to the acolytes in terms of fighting style and mindset. What sets him apart is his natural force abilities that put him above the acolytes. Over several months, several acolytes meet their end under Anakin's hand, hampering Revan's efforts to sow chaos. When he's not taking out these acolytes, Anakin also takes charge of reformation efforts in places where Revan is backing the rebels and supports the government. Anakin is granted unprecedented powers, allowing him to start the reform and improve their efforts. In areas where Revan is backing the government, he notes the deplorable conditions of these worlds and spurs Palpatine to suddenly take action. Each victory bolsters his confidence and earns him the loyalty of those he saves. Palpatine immediately takes the opportunity to aggrandize himself, showing how he is reforming the Republic while passing more laws. But he insists this is just the first step. He goes a step further and says this is proof a strong military must be created. But it also begins to draw the attention of Revan. The Sith Master observes Anakin's actions with curiosity and growing concern. The young Jedi is not merely undoing his work, he is challenging the very foundations of Revan's plan. The problem is Revan cannot reveal himself, as he must rule from the shadows, putting him on the back foot. As Anakin disrupts the crises one by one, he forces Revan's network to adapt, scattering resources and slowing their momentum. Meanwhile, Palpatine uses the chaos Anakin creates to his advantage. He quietly petitions the Senate for more soldiers and resources to be sent to the Outer Rim, citing the increasing instability. With each new deployment, he tightens his grip on the Republic's military infrastructure, laying groundwork for his eventual coup. But his biggest plan is to build the clone army. Despite Revan's initial objections, he never truly followed them and contacted the Kaminoans. However, Palpatine is careful not to get Revan's attention and simply brings a single sector under Anakin's command. The result is Legion Zero, a single, highly trained and obedient military force placed under Anakin Skywalker's command. Palpatine carefully masks its existence until they are deployed. He spins this as a pilot program for a new army capable of handling the threats of the galaxy. Anakin, already gaining a reputation for his heroics, becomes the face of the Legion, leading them in surgical campaigns across the Outer Rim. When Revan's network begins encountering unexpected resistance in sectors where his acolytes were previously untouchable, he finally takes notice. The Outer Rim becomes the proving ground for this silent war. Revan watches with intrigue as Legion Zero sweeps through his territories, annihilating sects, dismantling hidden bases, and capturing or killing influential operatives. Anakin, bolstered by his unwavering troops, earns a reputation as an unstoppable force. But Revan is not passive in this crisis. While Palpatine's strategy relies heavily on Anakin's skill and the Legion's might, Revan's system proves more organized and flexible. While these sects and leaders will be a pain to replace, he has cultivated many small but well-organized armies capable of operating independently. He mobilizes his diverse network of warlords, acolytes, and allies, uniting them under a single purpose: to crush Anakin and his Legion. Revan's forces, though seemingly disparate, prove to be a formidable foe. His commanders are skilled, independent thinkers, capable of operating without constant oversight. Rather than face Legion Zero openly, they focus on grinding him down. In each sector that attacks, the groups shift and instead wage guerrilla wars. These counterattacks target their supply lines, support fleets, and logistic bases, giving these groups a chance to reorganize and formalize their command structure. For every leader killed, another steps up to take their place, while destroying one group does not mean success in other areas. When Anakin pushes deeper into Revan's territory, his supply lines are stretched thin, and his forces begin to falter. The clones, though superior soldiers, cannot be replaced quickly, and every casualty weakens their fighting strength. Meanwhile, Revan continues to expand his network, recruiting talented leaders who can operate independently. They have been accustomed to this style of fighting and can keep the fight going for longer than Anakin. This stalemate frustrates Palpatine to no end. This was supposed to be proof of his army's capabilities, and yet here his forces remain struggling almost as hard as the local forces. He decides to meet with Anakin directly to discuss their next moves, and arranges a secret meeting with him in a remote Outer Rim world. Anakin arrives, wary but resolute, eager to hear how his mentor plans to turn the tide. But Revan, always one step ahead, intercepts their meeting. As the two sit down to plan what will happen next, Palpatine feels a shift in the Force, sensing Revan drawing nearer. He glances over to Anakin and tells him to prepare himself. The Dark Lord's arrival is as imposing as it is unexpected. Clad in his ancient armor, Revan confronts them both, his voice calm yet commanding.
Skywalker, you've done well to make it this far, but you've been misled. You're a pawn in a game you don't even understand.
Your plans are nothing but the delusions of a man who cannot see past his greed.
Anakin ignites his lightsaber, charging at Revan with the same fervor that has carried him through countless battles. Most acolytes would have fallen to his attack, but Revan is no mere acolyte. He leaps over the attack and kicks Anakin back. He stumbles aside while Revan rushes towards Palpatine. The Sith Lord blocks his first thrust, but Revan shifts and then spins from the counterstroke. He slams the hilt of his lightsaber against Palpatine's face, then leaps back as Anakin comes from behind. Taking a deep breath, Revan shifts to a defensive stance as the pair unleash their attacks on him. He weathers this storm just as his soldiers weathered Anakin's campaigns against him. When they both attack together, Palpatine plants his feet into the ground and holds them back as they try to press closer. With his free hand, he begins lifting the runes of the temple floor and slides it up. The debris hits Palpatine, throwing him back and allowing Anakin to focus on him. He can sense the power behind the young Jedi's attack. Palpatine trained him well. Anakin blocks an overhead slash and tries to strike Revan with his robotic fist. The blow staggers him and lets Anakin follow up with a sweeping kick. It staggers but does not drop the Sith Lord, who blocks his next attack.
You fought well, but you're serving the wrong cause.
Anakin answers this with a series of quick strikes that drive Revan back. The last one is a feint that twists and hits him across the side, but Palpatine interrupts by dropping a column on them, forcing the pair to scatter. Revan rushes through the dust cloud, waiting for the perfect time to strike. He turns to Palpatine, who advances cautiously, keeping his lightsaber ready. Revan tries to attack from his side, but Palpatine sees him and hurls a burst of lightning, sending him back into cover. Revan tries to think of a new strategy, but Anakin suddenly comes from behind. He spins and drops to one knee, holding his lightsaber over his head.
Last chance to join me, kid.
I don't think so.
A pity.
He springs forward and drives his knee across Anakin's stomach. The Jedi doubles over and drops to his knees, and Revan headbutts him, knocking him out. But he has no time to relish in this victory, as another bolt of lightning forces him to dive out of the way. Palpatine, sensing his imminent defeat, sends lightning crackling from his fingertips as he attacks Revan, but the ancient Sith is unfazed. He waits patiently for the time to strike, starting to manipulate the rubble on the ground, creating a human outline. Palpatine takes the bait and strikes at it, rushing behind him. The Chancellor turns and raises his hand to strike, but Revan is faster. He jerks Palpatine's hands up and redirects the lightning. Revan kicks his legs from underneath him and yanks his lightsaber from his hands.
It's over. You do not have the vision to create an empire.
Fool. I would have crafted an empire.
An empire that would have survived 1, maybe 2 decades. The Sith cannot survive with only 2. But it seems you cannot understand that.
He swings his lightsaber across Palpatine's neck and leaves this place. Rather than continue hiding, Revan makes his arrival to the Senate public, accompanied by his supporters and lieutenants, including his acolytes. He reveals everything Palpatine has done over the years to accumulate power, and reports of his lavish lifestyle, as well as the orders to kill vigilantes who were helping the people. But now Revan announces he is here to correct the ship. There is expectedly much anger at this claim. But by now, people have gotten accustomed to the Republic's lax leadership and the Jedi's incompetence. They are eager for change, regardless of who it comes from. Many are particularly outraged that Palpatine killed the same vigilantes helping them. The backlash is so great that the Senate and Jedi quiet down, fearing that they might be seen in the same light as Palpatine. With control of the most experienced army, Revan intimidates the Senate to give him power as Chancellor. He soon begins removing corrupt senators. Years of studying their activities has given him a long list of individuals to target. Next, he reduces the Jedi's role, giving them a choice to either submit to galactic authority or leave Coruscant and reorganize in the Outer Rim. Many are divided on this issue, splitting the Jedi further and ensuring they cannot pose a threat. Among those who stays is Anakin, who Revan slowly wins over. He officially promotes the individuals he's favored throughout the years to official positions in the government. With their experience, they can now begin passing reforms to the government. While Revan still has a lot of work to do, he lays a solid foundation for his empire.
That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.